Hi. I just made a video with a friend of mine about INTPs, or one guy called Karsh in particular, and my friend had the courtesy of being pretty quiet most of the time. And in that process, I discovered that I'm actually pretty talkative and able to communicate to a screen. It seemed then, maybe not so as much now. Um, so uh, that made me realize that perhaps I could make videos. It seemed strange to me until now. Just talking to a screen. I'm not one to talk to myself too much, I guess. So I reckon I'll make a video about INTPs. Just say what's on my mind, um, and see how that goes. Um, so um, I discovered a few weeks ago that I'm INTP. And it's a really fascinating and fun experience to watch all these different INTPs around the web. Uh, talking uh, about it, or just being themselves and watching all their body language and all that, um, which makes you obviously pretty self-conscious about your own body language as you talk about it. One of the most important things to me, I guess, in a strange way, that I noticed about that is, just how much I liked them. Well, liked INTPs, liked uh, who they were. You know, it helped me understand a little bit how, uh, quite a few times in my life, I've encountered situations in which, you know, people seem to like me more than I expected them to. Not that, everybody likes me. There are plenty of people that don't, but there are also people like that. And you know, watching INTPs, I realized that there's something pretty approachable and likable about them. Um, you know, Something kind of fluffy and not too threatening. They have this a laid back attitude, but in their eyes you can see a whole lot of complexity and uh, intrigue, and altogether it creates a pretty enchanting experience. Um, so you know, uh, it's a good boost. Sure, I could have everything all set up and fine when it comes to my intelligence, but as far as society, I obviously will have my own kind of complications about that, and wondering about that, and this makes me more confident in society. And my friend, by the way, who is a female, I discovered is an INTP as well, which is really awesome. To speak to another INTP. Um, you know, so what else can I say about it? Um, well, there's so much. Being alone in front of the camera is a bit different, a bit more like I thought it would be. Just me watching my own face right here in front of me. Um, so the eccentricity about it of it is pretty interesting. I find that I'm probably a relatively eccentric INTP, relatively um, um, out there. Um, Definitely still pretty socially awkward, but I was lucky to, know quite a few people in my life that were. I don't know if intelligent is necessarily the right word, um, but definitely intellectual and intriguing, and just excited by ideas that I found people who could appreciate, just the way I work and the way I think. So I would even say that the majority of the actual talking I've done in my life has been in accordance with what I naturally enjoy, which is talking about concepts and ideas and delving into them. Um, and so that's fascinating, fantastic. And I did see that quite a few people, well, I don't know how many I've seen, maybe a dozen, but didn't have quite the same fortune in that regard. And I think you can even see it in the way of expression. When you can see one INTP, which when they're trying to talk about complex concept, are obviously used to dumbing it down as much as they possibly can, and obviously used to, really putting it into an easy perspective, as opposed to me, which I suppose I've done so much intellectual conversations that it allows me to feel comfortable and confident in that realm to an extreme sometimes. I mean, these days I'm in a I don't know what you call it, a pre-college kind of program for architecture, and I am by far the most kind of talkative in the lesson. I mean, the moment the break happens, then everyone's doing their whole social interactions, and I might find somebody I can enjoy a conversation with. But in the lesson, I'm I'm disturbing so much. I'll just everything I'll analyze and point out what I see in it, and to the point that it really bothers the lesson sometimes, which is something I really got to get a hold of. So but it's an environment which allows me to get free in that. Of course, it was fantastic for me to discover that in some places an INTP is defined as the architect, and that's definitely the career I'm pursuing. Um, with my best uh, with my best motivation, I should be learning math right now. I'm trying to complete the little bit of exams that I have left for high school, so that I can go to college. But instead, I get fixated on an idea, and particularly this time, my friend who I now discovered is an INTP came to study with me, um, and having discovered she's an INTP, I just had to delve into it and just go on, and it's been probably 5 hours since I was studying last, and that's pretty fucking terrible. That's messed up. I gotta do something about that. I gotta get back to work. Um, so, um, uh, what else can I say? So much. Um, and the just watching myself over here. I look better in the light in the other room. Definitely. Actually, some of the stuff that I found interesting about INTPs, for example, was the coping abilities being so bad, which kind of enlightened me on some of my tendencies, and my way of coping with situations, which is often just running away from them.
definitely a big problem. Like, for example, the pressure I'm on for the exam I have in a couple days. Um, and also what I saw mentioned in one site at least about INTPs having a tendency of being more likely to get involved with drugs and alcohol during college. For me, I guess it was during the late parts of high school, something which got me in some serious trouble eventually. Possibly to come back and bite me on the ass pretty soon. And you know, that's really, I guess, what the whole point of all this MBTI thing is. You know, to be able to identify the weaknesses of your type. As much as I, you know, do enjoy to delve into how magnificent some of the attributes of INTPs, and how you know, I really find INTPs to match what I see as you know, the ideal archetype. I find this to be a tendency actually amongst all the different types. You know, this has been spreading around my social circle lately, um, and you know, I find that every type almost, I'm guessing, since you grow up with your own particular you know, strong suits, so you'll indulge yourself in those, um, and pursue the goals in the fields where you feel comfortable. And as a result of that, your heroes, I mean, say if you what you like is reading books, theoretical books of a particular type, then you will delve into that, and um, and uh, the heroes you will that you will I hate losing words. The heroes that you will garner, you know, during your life will be those that are relevant to what your interests are, and they will usually tend to be within your type. So what you discover as the definitive archetype of your type, which of course has large variation within it, will often be what you have idealized throughout your life. For example, my friend, um, he read I guess the portrait of a different archetype. He was saying to me, "Oh my God, this is horrible. This is the worst possible archetype that could possibly be. You know how I, you know, if you read this to the person whose archetype it is, they'll hate it." Which and that happened to be what I assumed to be the archetype of a friend of mine. Um, what was it? Uh, ESTJ, I think it was. Um, if I'm not mistaken, it could be. And that's a type which has a lot of adhering to rules, and a very strong capability when it comes to accomplishing goals. And so my friend was saying, "Oh my God, this is just terrible archetype." And so when he I told him at that point, this is what I assumed, that that archetype actually wouldn't see it that way, and that was in fact the case. I mean, as an SJ, I'm guessing that might be part of the reason. He was generally opposed to the whole kind of MBTI thing. You know, not a very theoretical type of person. Um, but a lot of the things within it were considered to him great advantages, while to another person they would not be so. And and so that's really interesting, you know, how each archetype developed. I was also talking to a different friend of mine about